Greetings, family. This is Dia Nunez at the H20 Network, and we're doing something new today. We're going to do video. We're going to download this to YouTube. But I know the family has been sending me tons of emails about our family members who have been on the H20 Network, authors and things of this nature. And this morning and evening for Kingsley Dennis, we have wonderful author Kingsley Dennis on the line with us. I'm so excited. This is our first video. Greetings, Kingsley.
Greetings, dear. Greetings, family. It's a privilege and a pleasure, and it's wonderful to see you virtually face to face, dear.
I know, right? It's a new experience. I think it's always nice to put a face with a voice and things of this nature, and I love that, and I love looking at you and looking at your environment. So I'm going to enjoy this time that I spend with you.
And likewise, I feel the energy now even more when I can see you visually. And don't tempt me, otherwise I'll pick the computer up and I'll show you my garden.
Oh, honey, don't take me there. We most definitely can see your garden. And please do share pictures so we can share with the family, because as we talked about before, we began recording this video conference that the H20 Network and many people that I'm connected with really find self-sustainability very important as this world is morphing and changing for the better. And I know that a lot of people probably perceive it as chaos, but it's good chaos. We need to be more self-sustainable, Kingsley. We need to be able to reconnect our heartbeat with the earth. Well, first of all, let's talk about self-sustainability, because I know that you have a garden yourself. You do with a lot of people who do self-sustainability. What are your thoughts on the pathway in which humanity should go about self-sustainability?
Well, in effect, self-sustainability is the natural way of living in harmony and in equilibrium with our environment. It shouldn't really be a kind of fringe or new way of life. It's going back to how everything was. And it's not just the items of growing our own food and etc. It's a whole mindset. It's a whole perspective of how we view our lives and how we wish to live our lives. And self-sustainability also, when you go down that path, you start to forge more connection with neighbors and friends, and you automatically start to swap things, and it all builds. And so it's a wonderful way of not only shifting the way we look at the world around us, but actually of creating networks, etc. And when I moved to my present location, I mean, although my family background lived more or less in the country, I didn't have green fingers at all. You know, I was a city kid. So I've learned gardening in the last 1.5 years from scratch. And so it's been a huge learning curve for me. But now I love nothing more than going out and getting my fingers in the soil, because there's a certain energy there as well. And there's a certain appreciation which comes from having this relationship with the soil that we are part of. So it's many factors, and so it's not only the pleasure of eating and growing our own food. I feel it gives us harmony if we spend some time on the computer, some time with our work, and then we can go out and spend some time with nature and be physically active. It keeps us fit, healthy, and keeps us sane. So there's so many different elements. So I would recommend it and we don't have to live in the countryside to do it. We can start to have balcony gardens, and urban gardens, and so it's a way of thinking, dear.
It is a way of thinking. It's not just, as I always say, the automaton aspect of reality, just doing. It's almost like a spiritual act, don't you think, Kingsley?
Definitely so, yeah. I mean, I find it helps to balance the equilibrium. There's a different energy, and watching nature grow and watching nature unfold is also, I feel, like a student. You notice the patterns, the natural organic way of resilience, and nature is so resilient. And you know, I've had very bad conditions in certain drought, etc., and yet nature grows. It's a lesson for us all, And so it keeps us sane and it keeps us spiritual because it helps to balance certain energies within us. We don't just have the urban energies, a lot of the impacts from our saturated life, lots of electromagnetic influence, the influence that we're living in a very structured society. So actually it is a spiritual nurturance to have some part of our lives given over to this type of living.
Absolutely. You said that you're a new gardener. I love that. Cause it's like, for me, it's like, being this child and discovering all of these wonderful things. What are some of the things that you've learned in your self-sustainability on a physical level, like certain things that may have surprised you, if you will, in creating your outside, environment?
Well, so many things. I say learning the patterns of growth and the resilience of the growth, and when it's easy to have a relationship with the soil. It's easy to talk to the plants that we're growing and to be appreciative of that, and so. I've learned the patterns of where to place certain growing vegetables and foods, certain times of the day which are better for planting, better for watering, and I can see the effect of certain types of wind. We have very strong winds out here, and so there's all this. There's patterns of where to plant, just as patterns of people where to live. Nature is a conscious element, so there's preferences, and if you watch and look at growing elements, you can see that they have preferences, and also you can see when they are not well. Just as we give off, let's say, energy of illness, so does nature. And that's our responsibility, that if we are the custodians, that we should be aware of how we're planting, if we are given the correct nutrients, and importantly, for me, organic nutrients as well. So composting is also a learning curve.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I learned about nature, and it's so wonderful that you can actually see unfolding in front of you, is that everything in nature has its place and is respected. It has to be respected because it has a role. And for example, like I have this thing with spiders. I'm fearful of spiders. Okay, I'm human. It is what it is. However, as I'm talking and getting this legacy from my mother, who's, as we're in the garden and putting our hands in there, she's explaining to me like their purpose and why they're in the garden and how they're pest controllers and they eat certain things and they allow certain things to grow. So it's just like you see, for me, I've gained a new respect, if you will, for things that I sort of kind of feared growing up, the daddy, and watching the daddy long legs create their webs and, take care of all of the insects. For me, I just realized that everything has its place within this huge ecosystem and everything is connected. It's quite glorious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this ecosystem, like you say, everything plays a part. It's much like a mirroring that. Well, humanity is a similar ecosystem, and we can see certain elements that for us may be distasteful, but when you look at it as they're playing their part, certain distasteful elements are catalysts in human society, just as some bugs and beasties in nature may be distasteful to us, but they are catalysts for nature. And so everything has its role. It's not about being good or bad. It's about everything interweaving and doing its role. And so we have a lot to learn about doing our role. And as you say, placement. Certain plants next to certain vegetables help to have a natural pest control. We don't need to spray them. We just have to learn where to place them. And so there's a great metaphor, analogy for human life as well, about how our responsibility, how we place things. We don't have to go hammer and sledge and destroy things. We just have to shift things. And so, and the patience of gardening is a great thing to learn, for the patience of dealing with our fellow brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. I tell you, we are nature and nature is us. And it's just, so amazing. And why do you think people are so afraid of being self-sustainable? Because, of course, family, Kingsley has written this wonderful book about our consciousness, the struggle for your mind, consciousness for a new world, the struggle for your mind, if you will, and media manipulation. I mean, the manipulation on a very large scale. Why do you think people are so fearful of being self-sustainable? Is it the responsibility aspect of many different levels of reality? What is it? You would think that people really want freedom. However, when you actually try to give it to them, it's a completely different paradigm of reality.
Mm-hmm. As is the well-known state of the fear of freedom. I think we've discussed that before, in fact. There's a paradigm or a pattern of thinking which is highly popular in our modern societies, is that self-sustainability is going back to a so-called primitive state of living, the kind of neo-primitives. And so it's almost as if it's anti-technological, going back, living out of the system, out of the grid, living in a hut somewhere, and there's this type of image and type of sense around self-sustainability, which is totally incorrect. So if people are part of the modern society, there's a fear that they may have to give up some of their comfort zones. Going back to live by nature, will I still have, my modern technology and that? Well, in fact, now is the perfect time to start to harmonize all the elements. We can live in a perfectly connected world, as our conversation now is an example of that. And yet, we don't have to buy into the control systems of how the food, the agribusiness food, how it's artificially, the artificial food, and how it's packaged and how it's grown by a lot of oil-based fertilizers, and how it's sprayed with so many chemicals so it looks good in the supermarket. So, it's much easier for many people to go around the corner to the local supermarket and buy their food and think, well, I don't need to be self-sustainable. So there's that type of media image around this. Now, I said that's incorrect. We don't have to leave the system at all. No one's saying that. It's not black or white. It's not about going in a cave and living like a hermit. It's about bringing some authority back into ourselves, our lives. We don't have to give away our dependency to some outside authority. So it's on one side, there's the pleasure of being able to grow our own food and eat our own food and have our own connection with nature as well, and having some of our independence. But at the same time, we have technologies to irrigate our land if we wish to. We're still connecting communities, and we're also, through self-sustainability, as I mentioned, we can grow our communities of neighbors, etc. I have a neighbor here who shouts over the fence, and when I go over to him, he's hanging a bag of vegetables for me, and I swap vegetables from a local friend who we swap eggs. I swap organic lentils with another neighbor for my vegetables, and so it's a way of growing a certain companionship. So, and we can do it in urban neighborhoods as well. It's a way of forging so many more connections and networks. It's not anti-technological. It's not anti-modern. It's not anti-system. It's pro-equilibrium, pro-sanity, and pro-growth as well, because there's many learning curves involved.
Well, it seems like what you're saying, you're alluding to, Kingsley, on a really deep level, is that by being more self-sustainable physically, mentally, and spiritually, that we will gain the essence of our humanity back. Because it seems to me that when one is pulled away from their food source, meaning how it gets to the grocery store, and me and Miss Paula, and by the way, Miss Paula said, "Hello, Kingsley," that...
Hello, Miss Paula.
She's like, "Tell Kingsley I said hello." Her background, her and her husband, they're truckers. They have a history of trucking and actually going to the fields and bringing the produce back, to the store, wherever it needs to go. And we've had really deep conversations on the fact that people no longer in this modern age know where their food comes from, how it's grown, how it's shipped. They have no connection. So once you separate that connection of your food source and how it grows into this reality, it's almost like you lose a bit of your humanity in a way. And if you look at that, that's sort of profound. When you disconnect your heartbeat from the earth, you no longer, to a wider extent, have compassion for humanity. Look at things from a certain way, if you will. And that's not everyone, because then that would be painting a wide brush. But what do you think about that?
No, I would agree, and I also see in that picture a certain, let's say, deliberate social structure that's been developed to maintain this disconnection from people and their organic surroundings and nature, and also the organic connection with themselves, because through that, when that connection is nurtured, and I call it polishing the bridge, then that empowers a person. And empowers a person, it enriches their, for me, from my understanding, enriches their thought processes, their sense of well-being, and their sense of self and purpose. Now, for the social matrix, social systems to operate, now if everyone was empowered, then, there would be a social management issue. So I feel that there's a deliberate social structure that wishes people to give away their dependency onto, as I say, an outside structure. So that empowers society. Society has more, I suppose, we give society permission to look after us, and therefore society is emboldened, and the juggernaut continues. So self-sustainability is not only an issue about food, although it's a very important issue, and resources in general. Self-sustainability is also about anything external to us. It can be finances. Economics is a question of sustainability. Are we debt laden to the banks? And if so, we don't have our complete freedom. We are dependent on the outside authority where our debts are. Mm-hmm. So we can't just pick up our bags and leave, because we are indebted and in terms of economics. So self-sustainability is not only a mindset. It's not only about food and resources. It's about any external element that we are tied into. So when we talk about self-sustainability, it's a whole plethora, a whole range of effects. And that's why it's so critical today, because all these external elements in our social systems, our economics, our jobs and careers, our homes, our well-being, they're all critically vulnerable at the moment. And if we're not able to step back and have some independence, then we're tied in. And when they go down, a part of us potentially can go down with it. So it's important to step back and look at what elements can we bring into ourselves and have our independence. That is a question of wholeness, self-sustainability.
Absolutely. And speaking about economics, please talk about Kingsley, because I know that you're involved in this beautiful project, Energetic Exchange. Beautiful project. Family, make sure that you go to energeticexchange.com, and I'll let Kingsley break it down. I mean, you guys are literally changing the essence of reality, and I know that you're involved in that project. Tell the family about that project.
Well, sure, and that again is a wonderful initiative because it has great energy behind it. And I know you've spoken with George Kapanai before on here, and the family may be familiar with him. Mm-hmm. He initiated this project, and the philosophy behind it is that the universe can and does provide for our needs. What we need to do is shift our perceptions into the space where we are in alignment and in communication with the universe. So, we have a dialogue with it. So, old style economics is very much, as you know, us and them, value exchange. There's always a social value element about it, and what we barter must have an equivalence, and all these other social structures which tie us in once again. Now, energetic exchange just says that we can be provided for. We have the tools exist, and the universe can provide for us, but we must allow it to happen. We must shift ourselves and open ourselves to it. So So if we have a need, we should express that need. We should give it an intention and manifest it. So on one side, Energetic Exchange exists as a website where we can post our needs. And at the same time, it allows us to post any offers that we wish, anything that we wish to give out, because, what goes around comes around. What we give comes to us, and what our need will also be supplied if we participate. So it's about participating in the energy of the universe which goes around and around. So if anyone has an offer that they wish to have, no matter how small or how great, it's not about size or value. It's about the genuine intention of offering something. Then, a person can go to energeticexchange.org and place his offer. At any time when a person has a genuine need, not a greed, because that's the old paradigm, but a genuine need, a person can go to this site and manifest the intention of this need. And at some point, at some place, there will be an answer to that. A person can manifest the universe's answer. And so the site is set up to try to match these needs and these offers. That's the electronic side. On the ground, now our friend George is just this week coming into acquiring an RV, and he's manifesting this spirit of an exchange. He's taking his family to America, and he's living it. He's walking the talk. So this week he's now be going around his van, the Energy Exchange van. I don't know what he's going to call it. He has to call it something cool on the side. But he's going to go around visiting communities and visiting people and just speaking about it. So if communities can start setting up this, have a place where people can go with needs and offers, and the community can start to match it. It's not bartering. Bartering, again, is an equivalence exchange. Energetic exchange is not an equivalent. It's just genuine needs and genuine offers putting out there, and they will find their match. And so, again, if anyone listening has a network or a community on the ground, would like to invite George to come on over and speak and talk, he's on the road. So please connect with him through the Energetic Exchange website, and perhaps down the road he can come back on and speak to the family about his adventures and his latest update. So that's one element. What's happening in the world now is I refer to it as the new Renaissance, because Renaissance usually happens from the periphery and never in the center. The center is empire, which eventually will implode. The new thinking, the new Renaissance happens from the periphery and starts to come in. And so that's happening now. Energetic Exchange is one of the new initiatives. There's many out there which are bringing in the new consciousness, the new energies, the new perceptions, and they're matching up. And the periphery is coming in. When the center starts to, the periphery will come in, and there will be a replacement consciousness, replacement energies coming in. I don't think we should worry about a collapse, because we're coming in a new level.
No, you're absolutely right. And we have to stop concentrating on, if you will, the powers that be, because we are them. They are our reflection, if you will. And we need to be creators of a new reality. And that's one of the things that I love about George. He's a wonderful manifester. He is standing in his truth. He walks the walk and talks the talk. He's like, look, I have my family out here. Everything is going to be good. And we're going with the flow of the universe, and everything that I need, I'll be provided with, and that's how Energetic Exchange works. And it's a beautiful website. Family, make sure I'm looking at, the website right now. And of course, I will have all of this information along with Kingsley's website in the description box, but it is energeticexchange.com. And is it .org in Europe?
Oh, sorry, I probably mentioned .org. Sorry, you're correct. It is .com.
Okay, yes, it is. It's .com. So I will have all of that information in the information box, but it's a beautiful project that you guys are involved in. And I'm just so happy I will continue to promote, this website and George and you, because you guys you're living your truth. You're doing what you're saying, if you will, and creating self-sustainability on many different levels of reality. Now, I also know that you just came out with a new book with Erwin Laszlo. Love him, The New Science of Spirituality Reader. Talk a little bit about this new publication that came out, Kingsley.
Well, sure. That again is a part of the game-changing paradigm information. Erwin and myself, we initially had a forum and on the web, and a Science and Spirituality Forum, and we wished to invite speakers from both sides of the science side and spirituality side to bring that bridge together, because again, science and spirituality has been artificially put in two different camps. Again, the us and them camp. This is the duality paradigm. This is what keeps the status quo, is by by putting both sides opposite, and it's not going to work, and it has no lifespan. So we wanted to bring the dialogue forward. So we brought some great names together, great inspiring speakers, ranging from Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Joanna Macy, Duane Elgin, Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, Barbara Marx Hubbard, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, and etc., and a great number of people, and also from the scientific side as well. So to have a mutual dialogue and to talk about the convergences. We're not interested in the divergences anymore. We're not interested in the old conversations. We're interested in what brings the energy together. And so this was beyond our expectations. So we said, well, we have to put this into a book. It's just another means of getting it out. It's like sowing the seeds. You sow it in one field, you sow it in another field. We have the virtual environment, we have the physical environment. It's about covering all the ground, so exposure. And so this book was put together, 28 essays in six different chapters, but it looks at different area of the dialogue. And we were so privileged to have these people come forward and donate their time and donate their work. Again, we all donate. It's not about asking for anything. And I think some rich dialogue has come from that. And, I'm just very, very privileged to work with these people. And so all I wish to be is a facilitator, to put out this dialogue and say to people, look at this, read it for yourself, and go away and absorb it and make of it what you will. And so the seeds are sown, and so I hope the book will travel and people will speak about it. And so that's all we're doing now. These are critical times for getting the dialogue out there, because things are so vulnerable, then new ideas have a greater impact. See, when times are the status quo and social structures are more fixed, then ideas are more difficult to penetrate and make an impact because things are more solid. At times of critical instability, new ideas have such a great impact. So that's why we should all be talking about it now. We don't need to wait for great groups to come together or to have a great revolution. We can do things individually because each small thing has such a great impact. And so that's what I refer to when I talk about the new monastics, is that, we're individuals doing our work. But I don't want to stray from the subject there. But in terms of the book, dear, it's another part of the blotting paper, another part of the dialogue. And I'm happy to be a part of that.
Well, we have to be the change that we see. We can't just talk about it. As I always say, theory is wonderful. However, to really be creating it and to live it and to have these experiences is very, very important. And as Robert Moss says, who's a wonderful teacher and dream researcher, he's like, listen, if you haven't had if you're dealing with someone who wants to teach you some things or be your mentor and they haven't had particular experiences, you need to really look at that, because we are in a reality where the experience in doing is very much important to change the fabric of reality, to change the energy of reality, or else it will stay the same. And you also give energy to the old paradigm, if you will, the way of thinking. And we have to begin within ourselves, and the universe really brings us together with other innovative minds and things of this nature. So it's really about doing. We can talk about many things. However, we need to be living and standing in that truth at all times.
What you say there is pivotal. Now, for example, this year, 2012, been so much talk about everything and so much fear, as we've discussed before, which brings people into the old paradigm. Now, this year for me, in one sense, is crucial because it's waking people up. There's so many events going on. It's waking people up. But a lot of people are still in a headspace, in a mental space, because they're looking what's going around them. They're not sure what to do. There's talk about the Mayan calendar at the end of the year, and everything could possibly change rapidly. So there's a kind of waiting. What will 2012 do? Now, I feel that once we pass that mark, and we will pass it, it'll be, okay, 2012 was passed, now we're still here, and it's obvious that so many things are not working, so, we can't stay in the headspace forever. It'll be a time for action. And so, the future is unknown. There's potentials. The future exists in potentials. It has to be actualized. So, 2012, I think, is a waking up period. People are being maybe pushed out of their comfort zones. But when we get beyond this, it'll be into all hands on deck. Now we have to be active. We have to intend and manifest the future, because it's not going to arrive. If you sit at a train station just waiting for the train, if the train goes past and you're still sitting on the bench, you're going to miss your ride. It's about getting off the bench, moving towards where you want to catch the train, where you want the destination to be, and being active. The future is participatory. And we can see that on all different levels. I mean, the modern communications and social media is a wonderful manifestation of our participatory nature. We can participate in online forums, we can participate in networks and groups. That is the new paradigm, participatory. And here too, not in a headspace of imagination, but a headspace of manifestation, conscious intention. And so, what we need to be talking about now, the dialogues is about, okay, the years ahead. Let's think about, we can't envision the future in 10 or 15 years because it's exponential. It's not linear. We can't even imagine how the great changes to come. So let's work in small steps, the next few years. What do we wish for the next few years for ourselves, for our friends and family? What can I do? And we can start to manifest that in those small steps. And those manifestations will bring in the potential future, which is waiting beyond our vision, but we can bring it in. And that's important, as you say, dear, action.
Absolutely. Action, collaboration, roundtable, creating a plan, and doing your thing. What is coming up on the burner for you, Kingsley? I mean, words can't even describe. You're doing all kinds of wonderful things. You're writing all kinds of wonderful books. You're collaborating with wonderful people. What's happening on the burner next?
Well, I say it's hard to predict. Where I am at now is I've just this week signed off on a new manuscript, a joint book that Ivan Laszlo and myself have been writing. It's due for publication in spring 2013, if all goes well. It's called The World at 2020. And so we are looking at the next decade now of how to manifest our action in the next decade. So one part of the book is about the new, let's say, Akasha paradigm, the paradigm of the unified universe, unified consciousness, because science now is validating our inherent interconnectedness. We can call it the quantum field, the Akashic field. I'm sure there's many names for it, but I'm sure we all intuitively understand that we are energetically interconnected. This understanding is going to percolate more and more through society, and that should help us to understand that what we do here may be small, but it resonates out everywhere. So even our small actions have a great responsibility. So on one side, the book talks about that. On the other side, we talk about some of the social changes we may see. And what we envision is that this vertical top-down structure is going to be replaced by a more lateral, distributed, collaborative structure. And it's about people coming together, because the next few years may be slightly disruptive. It may put people out of their comfort zones, but that's not to be feared. It's a catalyst for bringing in the new change. We have to sweep out the brushwood. We have to spring clean the house before we can put in the new furniture. So the next decade will be a mixture of being resilient, having collaboration, and the consciousness, unified consciousness for collaboration, and at the same time nurturing and enhancing and being supportive for each other. So there's no fear, there's friendship, there's love, there's bonding, and we can be here so we can be ready to manifest what will be coming in down the line. It's hard to see past 2020. In one section of the book, we put a what-if scenario for 2030. Let's imagine a scenario where politics are moved over to the people. We can use communication to have participatory voting. The UN can shift to a people's body, where people are more involved and participatory in regional decisions, not to be governed by the top-down structure. These type of ideas. Now, we don't know, but if you don't percolate ideas, you never will know. Mm-hmm. So that's the idea of getting out there. For me, I'm also looking at the idea, my own research into the new social trends coming along, and I talk about certain things like occupy our we feeling. We don't have to occupy Wall Street only. We can occupy our we feeling, our togetherness. And so I'm looking at the rise of those people who are changing the world. And the people who are changing the world are individuals. And I refer to them as the new monastics, because the monastics, the so-called monks, were the people who quietly under the radar got on with their work and doing the work quietly. So I feel that the people who don't have to have, we don't have to have large announcements. We don't have to walk around with a neon sign saying, I am making the change. We can work under the radar, doing our work, but in secure knowledge that every small thing we do is a part of the larger picture. So I'm interested in what people are doing, individuals, and connecting the individual stories, and that will then go into Worship International. Worship International has been interviewing some great game changers. This week I talked with John Peterson from the Arlington Institute, he's a futurist, but he sees a bigger picture. He not only talks with politicians, he talks with Lee Carroll from Cryon, with Tom Kenyon from the Hathors. He speaks with all people, bringing in the channeling and bringing in the politics and seeing the bigger picture. I'm speaking with Dwayne Elgin next week. It's about connecting the dots and bringing the people together. So I'm looking at the transition stories, the new narratives, because the future is about the new narratives. So I'm kind of everywhere. I don't know.
Well, that's a good place. Honey, me too. It's a good place to be. It really is. I have eggs in many different baskets, and it is not only about the individual, it's also about the community in which you live in. You can't live in this bubble, if you will, because you're a part of a greater community, if you will. And sometimes you have to multitask and do both. You have to work on the evolutionary process of self, your family. However, you do have to reach out and to the greater paradigm of community, because you're not an island onto yourself. And that's one of the things that I love about you and Erwin, and there are many other people that you're connected with who do the same thing. So, we have to do the individual work, and we have to connect with community. You can no longer stay in this bubble. And I thank you, Kingsley, for showing us that all of these things are possible, because when you say positive reality and so on and so forth, people get these little fluff ideas and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. However, that's programming. That's indoctrination of negative mental programming that we have been taught, that the default has taught us, that negativity and negative thinking about what our reality can be, is automatically negative, or that that's a dream, or that's utopian thinking. We can create a beautiful reality, and you guys are doing this, and I so admire that, and I thank you, because we need people to remind us of what the possibilities can be, and I thank you so much.
Well, it's. I mean, I can say it's my pleasure, but I don't want to take pleasure. I want to be I say to participate, and it's a responsibility. And we're all here at this time to play our roles, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
There's no defining roles. I would say our roles should be to be conscious humans, conscious people, and that is about, waking up and working on ourselves as well. There's an interior journey to go through, because we can change our surroundings, we can have new technology in our hands, we can have our iPads and iPhones, but we don't have the consciousness to use our tools, then we haven't moved down the line. So, and you're right, there's a lot of fluffy clouds going out there, and, and this new age talk and new age movement has been infiltrated and been manipulated by the social matrix, which I think we've discussed before, mm-hmm. because it gives the people a certain passivity, this new ageness. Now, actually, if you the people that I've been in contact with, who I feel have a real spiritual depth and a certain spiritual growth, they're very grounded. They're very practical, and they're just bum. We are part of the earth. We are living in this physical environment. Although we're energetic beings, we're part of the earth. And we're part of the physical universe, so we can't just shy away from it and say, I want to go and be a hermit in a cave and meditate. Now, of course, there's great benefits of meditating, but I would say we need to balance that with a physical responsibility. So work on ourselves, having an energetic signature, which is positive, because then when you come into contact with people, that comes out, that resonates. That's part of our work as resonating components on this earth. And so we don't have, I would say to people, don't have no fear. Don't feel that we have to, do some big grand plans or great announcements. The principal core thing is that we have to resonate at the right level as conscious human beings. That's our first priority. Then, if we can take that into an external structure, if you wish to take that into outside work and create an organization or take it further, then that's the next stage, but start from ourselves. So it is a time of work. Let's not shy away from that. Let's not shy away from the real vocabulary that there are times that we have to get through, and there are choices we have to make. So we're not fluffy about that, but at the same time, if we have the conscious heart intention, those moves, those choices, those shifts will happen in a way that will be beneficial and positive. And so, we have to be direct about that. And for me, that's the way forward.
Well, this is an H20 network update, and I want to thank you so much, Kingsley. I know your schedule is so crazy and so busy. However, I so enjoy spending time with you and listening to what's going on and all of your beautiful projects. And I'm so thankful. We love you here at the H20 network, and the listeners love you as well. And I just want to thank you for giving us some of your time.
My time is in your hands, dear. As you know, since we first connected, I enjoyed our connection, our conversations, and I appreciate the feedback from yourself and from the family. No one would be here if we were not able to receive and give this type of energy. So, whatever we're doing, whatever I do, it's to be of service. So, having this time with you, it's important. Of course, I can go back out into the garden and work with my vegetables. I can go and write the book and go scribbles. But connecting and being, having this energetic transference is all part of the whole, balance of our lives. So, to be balanced is talking to you.
Well, thank you, Kingsley, and we will be expecting those pictures of the garden, so we can check them out and make comments. And I love seeing people's gardens and get ideas, so I'll be looking forward to those pictures.
Thank you. I will send them across to you, dear, and also I know that you've made your own move, so I wish you all the best with that, and we'll stay in touch. And everything I do, I'll let you know, and I look forward to more future updates. And of course, if any of the family wish to get in touch, and they're welcome to through my email and through my website. Everything's open, so
Well, absolutely. Of course, we're going to stay in touch. You're a part of the family. Family, this is an H20 Network update with Kingsley Dennis. Make sure that you look down in the YouTube description box. I will have all of the links that we talked about and information. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day, and thank you so much. I love you all. Bye-bye. Okay, we're done recording.